because it's nice to clarify our questions as early as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And since you are basically from a programming background, I would say that ABAP would be an easy thing for you to catch up. Okay. And so coming to the introduction, like how ABAP is and like where exactly ABAP being used and why you need ABAP and all that stuff. So you might have heard about this SAP, right? It's like a business software. Probably you can say SAP. I hope you know the full form of SAP. No?
Me? Hello? What did you just ask?
Yeah, hello?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you know the full form of SAP.
MCP? What?
SAP.
Oh, okay.
Full form, abbreviation. So you are aware of this, right?
Yes.
Okay. SAP is just like services, applications, and products used in data processing. Got it? Okay. So basically, why this has come up, it's basically for the needs of a business. Like you pick up any business, like when it is you pick up a Nike business, like he has to maintain all the things like how many shoes have been purchased and how much shoes have to be manufactured for the next 6 months or the 1 year. So what are my raw materials I need for my thing. So if it is a very small business, you can keep a hang on these things like how many laces I need, how much socks I need, or whatever, like how much of the raw materials you can think about it, if it is a small business. But for a company like you pick up Nike or any company, you can say a car manufacturing company. Car manufacturing company would be a very good example because for a car you need a lot of parts as such, and for each and every part there are hundreds and hundreds of like screws or whatever, each and everything which you need it in a car. So okay, when coming so for just for a single car, then you can write it down like what all you need it. So, but when you're manufacturing thousands of cars, you can't keep the count of things. So I use maybe I use just a simple Excel sheet and maintain all the things. But tomorrow, next 6 months, what is my how many cars should I manufacture? If you are taking all these things into consideration, SAP has given a business software wherein it helps you in terms of like forecasting things. For example, for the next 6 months, how many cars I need based on our analysis, based on the past trends, based on the uses of the customers. If you assume 1,000 cars are needed, for example, okay. So if it is 1,000 cars, like how many tires I need, how many screws I need, each and every, how many levers I need, how much labor I need for this, all these should be accounted for.
Okay.
So, excuse me. So to maintain all this, SAP has provided a software which you can figure it. It's divided into components, you can say. So basically, ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So any car manufacturer can be an enterprise, and a resource for this can be a person in terms of labor or a car requirements or a raw materials.
Okay, yes.
So within ERP, you have different components, something like SD. SD is the sales and distribution. That's a particular component onto an ERP software. You can say SD, like sales and distribution. It mainly comes up like, okay. So when you have a manufacturer of all these cars go into a wholesale, the wholesalers or the retailers. From there, the customers buy it directly from the retailers. So each the manufacturer will be having a, for example, if a customer wants to buy a car, he comes directly to a retailer, and then the retailer places an order to the manufacturer, for example. So that means the retailer puts a sales order to him. So I need a so-and-so car with so-and-so variants and all this, sort of a sales order to a manufacturer. And then the manufacturer checks up the sales order and sees if he already has the stock with him. So all these things comes into a picture of sales or sales and distribution, which is called SP. Similarly, even a manufacturer needs some tires, for example. So the car manufacturer would ask a tire company, would ask for a sales, would provide a sales order to a tire company and get the tires from them. And similarly, all the materials which he needed is enough to build a car. So this is one of the modules you can say within ERP and SD. Then it comes to another component called MM, which is called material. So there are things like PP, production planning, and HR you can say, which is called human resources. For example, since when he is manufacturing a car in terms of thousands and thousands, he needs a labor of at least 5,000 or 10,000 employees in his company. And for them, he needs to maintain all the salary details and what are the trainings if required, leaves, attendance, like timesheet filling, like how many days, like for how many hours he has been working on this. It's not about just to pay him a salary, like how many hours he is working. So it is also for him like how much labor he has invested in, how much labor he has to put in for this car actually. So all these sort of things would come into human resources. It is a part of, again, ERP. So the advantage of ERP here is all our components like SD, MM, PP, production planning, HR, human resources are onto a single component, you can say. So wherein each component can talk to each other. For suppose, for a production planning, how many cars have to be built for the next year, can get the information from the SD component, which is called as a sales and distribution. So for the next year, you can plan according to your past sales. So the past sales information can find you from SD, whereas in HR, who has invested how much, all these details can come up into HR. So this is just one part of SAP, you can say, ERP. So within ERP, then there are other components like, have you heard of supply chain management, SCM? No?
Yes.
You're there?
Supply chain management.
Okay, there are other components called SCM, SRM. So these are not very much specific to SAP as such. These modules are very, you can say, with respect to general business scenarios. So SAP is a company wherein it has developed one each for a supply chain, one software component for supply chain management, one software component for SRM, and I hope you would know all those things. Have you heard about all these things?
Yes, in general.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You have any questions as of now or anything?
No.
Right now, no. Okay. Anything you want to have some ambiguity of things, you can clarify it at any point in time.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No.
And so there are things like, and there's another important module into ERP is the FICO, which is finance and controlling. All these financial details like
Sorry.
FICO, finance and controlling.
Finance and control.
Hello?
Yes, FICO, right?
Yes. I'm typing. Okay. And this is one of the important components into an ERP software, because, for example, you need to put things like the company's assets, liable assets, unliable assets, moving properties, all those things. For suppose if he has manufactured cars already 1,000 cars are manufactured and stored in a warehouse. So all those things also have to be taken into picture, like when you're coming up with like the profit calculation